Hello, this is my reflection video from my new skill of juggling. So my skill, it could be classified as a discrete skill for me because it definitely had a start and a stop. But it could also be continuous for people who are like professional jugglers because they can juggle for minutes upon minutes upon minutes. This could be considered a serial skill because when you think of like throwing a ball, that is a discrete skill. There's a start and a stop when you throw the ball. So with this throwing one, that is a discrete skill, but then when you are adding in multiple discrete skills, that's a serial task. So for me, it's a discrete skill because it's starting to stop. It was not long. So I did this in both an open and closed environments just because I wanted to put myself in different places. So I went and I did it in my dorm room by myself or in my bedroom by myself, where I knew that nothing unpredictable would happen. But then I also did it in the library and with multiple people around and anything. And there was one practice that I was doing where I was practicing and someone walked in and it was one of my friends coming to study. So it was like I put myself in multiple situations to see how I could handle the skill in both an open and a closed environment. My main goal for this was to be able to juggle for at least 10 seconds. I started this not being able to juggle at all, so being able to just go for 5 to 10 seconds was actually a really big deal for me, and I achieved my goal. So that was really good because like as I was juggling, I was gonna be like 1, 2, 3 and like count all the way to 10, and once I made it to 10, it was really good. I allowed myself to make as many errors as I needed to. I'm a person who learns best from making errors. I think that goes the same for anybody. So being able to throw the ball and be like, oh, I threw that one too high, let me try next time. I just let myself make as many errors as I needed to throughout the process. Speaking of process, my process for setting up practice and the approach that I went with a constant / massed practice. I didn't really allow myself rest in between juggling. I went for like 5 minutes and I just went that entire 5 minutes because I just wanted to keep that motion going and I didn't want to allow myself any time to like stop and like not juggle. Because I'm a person who learns best from doing, so just doing it over and over, that was better than allowing myself like a lot of time to rest in between trials of practice. I did a constant practice, so I made sure to keep it fairly repetitive, and I allowed with some days in between my practices just because of the forgetting hypothesis, because we learned in class that has a high, it'll help you remember better, and a strong transfer. So I did that, which ended up working pretty well actually, because in my videos, like I watched myself and I was able to like just start juggling quicker rather than like in videos like 6 through 11. But in my first couple of practices, it takes me a second. Like I have to like throw the ball up a little bit and like set myself into motion. But later on, I was able to just jump in because I already had that motor program like already kicking. I was able to just like grab it in my memory and be like, all right, let's go. That's how I think about it. I had some transfer going into this, I think, because I played basketball in high school. So I had a fairly good hand-eye coordination going into this. Granted, playing basketball, it's just one basketball and this is 3. So it helped a little bit because I was able to like track the balls fairly well in the air. So I think that helped me a little bit. So in my practices, for my first practice, I just went for it. Like I was in the library and I just crumpled up some pieces of paper and I just went for it. I didn't look at any videos or anything about how to do it. I just tried to recall as best I could from my memory how to juggle, even though I had no idea. So in my second practice, that's when I watched a couple tutorials on YouTube, and I started with 2 balls instead of 1. So I just practiced that to build that motor program. So then in my third practice, when I added a 3rd ball, I was able to transfer that motor program into adding a 3rd one. And it ended up working fairly well. I was able to pick up juggling the 3rd one pretty quick. Through my 4th and 11th practice, so after my 3rd, I just went in with the 3 and I was fairly consistent with my practice, and this is when I started doing the massed and constant practice and going every couple of days in between, and I'd practice for about 5 minutes every day. So for the Fitz and Bernstein perspectives, I went for more of a Fitz perspective with this. So for the Fitz's first stage, the cognitive stage, I definitely did a lot of self-talk and coaching. And I had my goal identified, so that was very easy to like make sure I was on track with it. So I would like time myself sometimes to see how far I could go, or count in my head, anything like that. My first couple of practices, definitely a lot of self-coaching and being like, okay, come on, you gotta do this, come on. So yes. Stage 2, fixation. So by practice 5 or 6, like I said, I felt like I had started to create a motor program because I was able to just walk up to and grab the balls and just go. I didn't have to start with 2 and get myself into a rhythm. I was able to just go. I had started to make cleaner movements and more precise movements and things like that, so it wasn't so discombobulated and I wasn't throwing them everywhere. So I had more clean and effective movements throughout that. And I felt, this is something I wrote down, I felt like I could easy copy and paste my movements because like as I was going, I was able to just, granted I can't do the same movement over and over and over, it's impossible, but I felt like I was able to repeat as close as I could the same movement so that I could keep going for longer. And then stage 3, the autonomous stage, I was able to definitely detect my own errors by then because I knew what felt right and what didn't feel right. So when I did something that didn't feel right, I was like, oh, you need to push less when you throw. You need to not reach your arm out so far, like keep them close into you. And I couldn't tell, like in the moment, I couldn't tell, but definitely watching back in the videos, I saw my self-confidence improve, like when I was juggling, because that it definitely started to go well. I think it was practice 6. I was with my roommate in the room and I was like, watch me juggle, like watch me do this. So like I was definitely gaining a lot of self-confidence in the beginning or at the end, sorry. I definitely gained a lot of self-confidence, and now like I just went on a vacation and I walked in front of my family and I was like, watch me juggle. So my self-confidence is definitely raised a lot since the first time I tried to juggle. Also, I was able to pay attention to other things as I was doing it because like as I was juggling, I was able to talk to other people. Like if my roommates were trying to have a conversation with me, I was able to talk with them and focus on other things as I was juggling. And the reason I went with more of a Fitz one is because with the Bernstein, the whole freezing degrees of freedom, I couldn't necessarily do that unless it was just me flicking my wrist to throw the ball up. So with the Bernstein, it was definitely like better for me and helping me structure my practice, and watching myself go through the stages of Fitz's was a lot clearer in my mind than it was in Bernstein's, from Bernstein's perspective of it. So yeah, I had lots of fun doing this skill. Also, one thing that was that I would like to point out because I think it's funny, in some of my best trials, I guess it's because I had created a schema, I guess, with it. I don't know. With my best trials is when I sing like a circuit song, like the that. And so in some of my videos, you can see that I have the sound off, and it's because I was singing. So yeah. But this was a very fun project. Thank you.